Treasury Star Parade. Produced under the personal direction of William A. Bacher, with David Brookman and his orchestra and chorus, and Mr. Vincent Price, in Malcolm Meacham's dramatic adaptation for radio of a speech by the Honorable Henry A. Wallace, Vice President of the United States, on the price of free world victory.
Today engaged in a great fight between a slave world and a free world, the March of Freedom. The idea of freedom is derived from the Bible with its extraordinary emphasis on the dignity of the individual. Democracy is the only true political expression of Christianity. But that which was sensed by the prophets many centuries before Christ was not given complete and powerful political expression until our nation was formed as a federal union a century and a half ago.
We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
The march of the common people had begun. But men and women cannot really be free until they have plenty to eat and time and ability to think and talk things over. Down the years, the people of the United States have moved steadily forward in the practice of democracy. Through universal education, they now can read and write and form opinions of their own. They have learned and are still learning the art of production, that is, how to make a living. They have learned and are still learning the art of self-government.
Look, this is America. I can think what I like and say what I like, see?
So long as you remember that don't give you no right to yell fire in a crowded theater. Are you kidding? This country produces more food and manufacturing than any other country in the world. Where you going, Joe?
I'm going down to vote. And look, tell that gang of hoodlums down the river not to hand me any marked ballots. I'm voting my way, see?
Not only in America, but everywhere in the world, the common people are on the march. Thousands of them are learning to read and write, learning to think together, learning to use tools, learning to think and work together. And when the freedom-loving people march, when the farmers have an opportunity to buy land at reasonable prices and sell the produce of their land through their own organizations, when the workers have the opportunity to form unions and bargain through them collectively, and when the children of all the people have an opportunity to attend schools which teach them the truths of the real world in which they live, when these opportunities are open to everyone, then the world moves straight ahead. But in countries where the ability to read and write has been recently acquired, or where the people have not had long experience in governing themselves on the basis of their own thinking, it is easy for demagogues to arise and prostitute the mind of the common man to their own ends, to change the signposts and lure the people back into slavery of the most degraded kind. As long as his spell holds, he defies God himself, and Satan is turned loose upon the world.
And I stood upon the sand of the sea, and saw a beast rise out of the sea. And they worshipped the beast, saying, Who is like unto the beast? And who is able to make war with him? And there was given unto him a mouth, speaking great things and blasphemies. And he opened his mouth in blasphemy against God, to blaspheme his name.
There is no God. I am God. I will hold this God life to the end of the earth and destroy
was given to him to make war, and power was given him over all kindreds and tongues and nations.
Through the leaders of the Nazi Revolution, Satan is now trying to lead the common man of the whole world back into slavery and darkness. For the stark truth is that the violence preached by the Nazis is the devil's own religion of darkness. So also is the doctrine that one race or one class is by heredity superior, and that all other races or classes are supposed to be slaves. The belief in one Satan-inspired Führer with his Quislings, his Lavals, and his Mussolinis, his Gauleiters in every nation of the world, is the last and ultimate darkness. The Nazi system has a heroic position for only one leader. All the rest are stooges. They are stooges who have been mentally and politically degraded, and who feel that they can get square with the world only by mentally and politically degrading other people. These stooges are really psychopathic cases. Satan has turned loose upon us the insane. The march of freedom of the past 150 years has been a long, drawn-out people's revolution. In this great revolution of the people, there were the American Revolution of 1775.
I know not what course others may take, but as for me, give me liberty or give me death.
The French Revolution of 1789. American revolutions of the Bolivian era. The German Revolution of 1848. And the Russian Revolution of 1918. Revolution spoke for the common man in terms of blood on the battlefield. Some went to excess. But the significant thing is that the people groped their way to the light. Now they are on the march towards even fuller freedom than the most fortunate peoples of the earth have hitherto enjoyed. And no Nazi counter-revolution will stop it. The people in their millennial and revolutionary march toward manifesting here on earth the dignity that is in every human soul holds as its credo the four freedoms enunciated by President Roosevelt in his message to Congress on January 6, 1941.
The freedom of religion. The freedom of expression. The freedom from fear of the secret police.
And the freedom from want for the average man.
Yes, the peace must mean a better standard of living for every common man, not merely in the United States and England, but also in India, Russia, China, and Latin America, not merely in the United Nations, but also in Germany and Italy and Japan. The century on which we are entering, the century which will come of this war, can be and must be the century of the common man. Everywhere the common man must learn to build his own industries with his own hands in a practical fashion, so that he and his children may eventually repay to the world community all that they have received. No nation will have the God-given right to exploit other nations. There can be no privileged people. We must use our power at the peace table to build an economic peace that is just, charitable, and enduring. And now, as we move forward towards realizing the four freedoms of this people's revolution, I would like to speak about four duties. It is my belief that every freedom, every right, every privilege has its price, its corresponding duty without which it cannot be enjoyed. The four duties of the People's Revolution, as I see them today, are these.
The duty to produce to the limit.
The duty to transport as rapidly as possible to the field of battle.
The duty to fight with all that is in us.
The duty to build a peace, just, charitable, and enduring.
Our task lies before us, and we will not fail. Hitler's agents continually preach that we are cowards, unable to use, like the brave German soldiers, the weapons of modern warfare. It is true that American youth hates war with a holy hatred. But because of that fact, and because Hitler and his minions stand as the very symbol of war, we shall fight with a tireless enthusiasm until war and the possibility of war has been removed from this planet. We shall cleanse the plague spot of Europe, which is Hitler's Germany, and with it the hellhole of Asia, Japan. The fighting men of the United Nations will need to summon all their courage during the next few months. Hitler, like the prize fighter who realizes that he is on the verge of being knocked out, is gathering all his remaining forces for one last desperate blow. We expect the offensive against us to reach its apex sometime during the next few months. As we nerve ourselves for the supreme effort in this hemisphere, we must not forget the sublime heroism of the oppressed in Europe and Asia. Everywhere the soul of man is letting the tyrant know that slavery of the body does not end resistance. There can be no half measure. North, south, east, west, and middle west, the will of the American people is for complete victory. No compromise with Satan is possible. We shall not rest until all the victims under the Nazi yoke are freed. We shall fight for a complete peace as well as a complete victory. The People's Revolution is on the march, and the devil and all his angels cannot prevail against it. They cannot prevail, for on the side of the people is the Lord.
He giveth power to the faint. To them that have no might, he increaseth strength. They that wait upon the Lord shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not be faint.
Strong in the strength of the Lord, we who fight in the people's cause will not stop until that cause is won.
You have just heard a radio dramatization based on a speech by Henry A. Wallace, Vice President of the United States, read by Mr. Vincent Price. There is only one thing to add. The United States Treasury Department is faced with the gigantic task of financing this war. If we are to win, we must work, we must fight, and we must save. Invest at least 10% of your total income in war savings bonds and stamps. Remember, every dollar you invest in the future security of America.